Imagine putting yourself in the shoes of the woman in this photo. Think about what it would be like to be born with a condition like hers, as if starting life with such a challenge isn't enough. Consider how much more can possibly go wrong in someone's life. But don't answer right away because, most likely, after watching this video, your answer will change. And of course, if you enjoy the video, I'm counting on your likes. Let's agree on that from the start. Enjoy watching. Minerva and William Harper's twin children, Everett and Ella, were born on January 5th, 1870 in Tennessee, USA. With 3 children already, the couple naturally expected a 4th when Minerva became pregnant, as the technology of the time offered no hint otherwise. But when Minerva gave birth, the doctors delivered not 1 but 2 babies. The Harpers now had twins, and with that, the Harper family continued their lives as a family of 7. The father of the family was a well-regarded and prosperous farmer in their small town. This allowed the family to live a comfortable and quiet life, spending their days with their new babies. 3 months had passed since the birth of Everett and Ella, when suddenly and for reasons unknown, Ella's twin, Everett, passed away. Dark clouds quickly overshadowed the family's seemingly happy life. Yet, with 4 other children, life somehow had to go on. The father focused on his work, and the mother cared for the remaining 4 children as the years went by. But as months turned into years, unlike the family's other 3 children, their 4th child, Ella, showed an unusually peculiar pattern in her physical development. The girl's knees bent in the opposite direction from what was normal. Her kneecaps faced inward instead of outward. Additionally, her body and skin were far more flexible than those of an average person. Having already lost 1 child, the family had no choice but to stand by Ella and support her throughout her life in the face of these physical challenges. When the family took Ella to the doctor, they discovered that she had both Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and a very rare severe joint condition called genu recurvatum. Due to the limitations of medical treatment at the time, there was no way to cure her. Ella would have to live her life with these conditions. As Ella grew older, she couldn't manage even the simplest tasks without her family's help. She couldn't feed herself, and tasks like bathing and dressing were left to her mother and siblings. But, as I mentioned, she had a supportive family that never neglected her. Since Ella couldn't attend school, her family hired teachers to provide her with private lessons at home. Despite her condition, she didn't fall into despair. She played, laughed, enjoyed herself as much as possible, and focused on her studies. In the years that followed, it became clear that Ella had yet another genetic condition, a very rare disorder called ichthyosis, which caused her skin to become extremely dry and scaly. This condition would later inspire a nickname she would come to be known by. Somehow, the physical challenges she was born with seemed never-ending. Yet Ella tried her best to maintain a positive outlook on life. At age 12, as Ella continued her education at home and tried to live as normal a life as possible, local circus owners in her area heard about the unusual girl with rare conditions. With the offers that followed, Ella's career began. Under her family's supervision, she started performing in circuses around Centerville and New Orleans, joining other oddities to showcase themselves to curious crowds. Giants, dwarfs, bearded women, and many others. They sparked immense curiosity at the time. In America, freak shows became a cultural phenomenon, drawing constant attention. Many people working in these shows were exploited, ridiculed, and marginalized due to their physical differences. Yet, given the era, these sideshow performances were often the only work available to them, leaving them with little choice but to endure these exploitative conditions. Fortunately, Ella was not among those who were exploited. Her new career progressed steadily, and as she grew older, her unique physical condition attracted increasing attention. The rarity of her conditions, especially compared to the other performers with deformities, and the fact that her condition went beyond just her backward-bending knees, sparked even more curiosity and increased her fame. Just a few months after starting in regional circuses, she was discovered by Harris, the owner of the famous Nickel Plate Show, one of the most renowned circuses of the time. This circus was much larger and more prestigious than those she had previously worked for. With this offer, Ella and her family decided to accept and embark on a life filled with more travel and growing fame. With this traveling circus, Ella was met with great enthusiasm in every city she visited, her photos appearing in both local and national newspapers. Unlike lower-tier circuses, this one not only featured human performers but also showcased a variety of animals. Ella's act featured her alongside a camel, likely chosen to draw a visual connection between the camel's hump and Ella's unique joints that bent in unusual ways, creating a parallel between her physicality and the animal's distinctive appearance. Additionally, her skin condition may have added to the comparison, though that's more uncertain. Regardless, as Ella continued performing alongside the camel, the public began to nickname her the Camel Girl, both for her resemblance to the animal and for the intriguing strangeness of her condition. As I mentioned, her initial condition was already incredibly rare, and with the addition of this new skin disorder, her act quickly became wildly popular, drawing crowds fascinated by her unique appearance. Her growing popularity began to bring in significant earnings. She and the circus owner, Harris, struck a deal for a weekly pay of $200, a sum that would be equivalent to about $5,000 a week today. That's around $20,000 per month, a fortune in the late 1800s. This income allowed both Ella and her family to live comfortably and even attain considerable wealth. While Harris was pleased with the profits Ella was bringing in, promoting her image on every poster and brochure to maximize earnings, Ella had a different path in mind. Despite the excellent pay and growing fame, 4 years after their agreement, Ella made a surprising decision. Though it's unclear what was happening within her family, at age 16, with her popularity still rising and a substantial income, she decided to leave the circus life behind and retire. Rumor had it that Ella's given reason was her desire to continue her education. Whether that was the full truth or not remains uncertain. Ultimately, at 16, Ella left her career behind and withdrew from the public eye. However, as I'll soon explain, this retreat into seclusion would bring with it new tragedies in Ella's life. During that time, Ella was highly protective of her privacy. Consequently, little is known about her life immediately after leaving the circus. However, according to a census taken in 1900, by which time she was 30 years old, it appears that Camel Girl Ella Harper was living near Sumner, Washington, with her mother and nieces. Tragically, Ella's father passed away in 1890, just 4 years after she left the circus, due to a house fire. While the family was grieving this loss 5 years later, in 1895, Ella's brother William also passed away, though sources don't specify the cause. These losses added further sorrow to Ella and her family. As I mentioned, after leaving the circus, tragedies seemed to follow Ella relentlessly. After enduring losses in her family every 5 years, the 1900 census provided a glimpse into where she was living at that time. Then, in 1905, at the age of 35, Ella met Robert, a local school teacher and accountant. Not long after meeting, Ella and Robert grew close, soon married, and began a happy life together. Shortly afterward, Ella became pregnant, and in their first year of marriage, they welcomed a daughter named Mabel. Tragically, however, their child passed away at just 6 months old, bringing profound sorrow to the new couple. After all the tragedies and losses Ella had endured, just when she was starting fresh, more heartbreak followed. Despite the grief and challenges that began to overshadow their marriage, the couple managed to keep their relationship strong and navigate through these difficult times together. Ella and her husband Robert decided to start over once more, moving from Sumner to the town of Davidson. To support her, Ella's mother moved in with them. In this new chapter, the couple decided to try for another child. However, due to Ella's health issues, doctors concluded that pregnancy wouldn't be possible for her. Though they had to accept this difficult news, after 13 years of marriage, in 1918 they chose to adopt a little girl. They made this decision after hearing that a 1-month-old baby girl had been abandoned at a nearby orphanage. Fortunately, they were able to adopt the child without any issues. Yet, as unbelievable as it seems, their newly adopted daughter passed away just 2 months later for unknown reasons. The tragedies in Ella's life overshadowed even the severe physical condition she'd endured since birth. As if that weren't enough, Ella was soon diagnosed with colon cancer. It almost feels routine at this point, but after everything she had gone through, this news, heartbreaking as it was, somehow felt like just another part of her tragic story. 2 years after the loss of their adopted child and the cancer diagnosis, the couple moved again in 1920. Perhaps it was an attempt at another new beginning as they settled in Nashville. Sadly, Ella couldn't stay there long. She passed away from colon cancer on December 19th, 1921, at the age of 51. Her mother lived 3 more years after Ella's death, while her husband Robert passed away 11 years later. Ella's life, which started with challenges, unfolded with such unimaginable tragedies that it still astonishes us. She left the world without ever having the child she longed for, remembered by the nickname Camel Girl. And now, through this story, her life has found its way to you. I hope you found this tragic story both touching and engaging. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like and subscribe. See you next time, and as always, take care until the next video.